The second clinic of the 2023 edition of the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair promises to excite patrons in many ways. The West Hills Mall will host all relevant players in the housing and construction industry in Ghana from Friday 4th to Sunday 6th August 2023 from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. This year's exhibition is under the theme Home Ownership, Affordability, Comfort or Luxury. Visit the clinic and engage the providers in the housing value chain on all your housing needs, be it financing, land acquisition, rent to own, outright purchase, roofing, lighting, electronic appliances, home security, or home furnishing. The EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair is your one-stop shop for everything housing. To register, please call 3. There will be daily giveaways by the sponsors to visitors at the fair. The EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair is in partnership with EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank, and powered by the Planned City Extension Project from Cities and Habitats. Rent to own, and sponsored by Elegant Homes and General Construction Limited, where quality meets value. Syntex tanks, strong, tough. EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair. Affordability, comfort, or luxury.
Hello there, and thanks for joining us on the Joy News channel. This is The Pulse, and this afternoon we're focusing on the embattled former appointee of government, Cecilia Dapaah. Of course, as a theft case is back in court today. There's a new detail where we're getting indications that the Attorney General may want to take over the case. What's accounting for this? We'll get into the details for you shortly. Also, we're paying attention to developments in the West African state of Niger as ECOWAS military chiefs are holding a meeting in Abuja starting from today. We'll get you updates as and when we have them. And there's poverty. Guess where that's happening in? It's Germany. We'll tell you why many residents there are beginning to get concerned about the latest figures coming through. We'll get more from our partners, the DW. This is The Pulse. The Pulse, as always, is brought to you by Global Communities Stigni Lu, Affordable Safe Sanitation. We're on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 144. I'm Blessed Sugan. Joy News is independent, fearless, and credible. We get into the details shortly. Please stay. We'll be back. This afternoon, the story of Cecilia Dapaah and the missing cash is back to the front burner today as the case is called in court for the very first time since the nationwide uproar. And there was not a dull moment in court today with the fresh and shocking details that we are learning of. So what are some of the key issues that you need to know about when it comes to this case? We know that, first of all, the prosecutors have failed to produce the accused persons who are at the center of all of this. The prosecutors also indicating to the courts that the Attorney General may be taking over the case. As to when that will happen, that's what we're about to find out with my colleague who has been to the courts and will give us details shortly. Also, accused persons, we understand they're denying stealing the money from the former minister. That's according to their lawyers. And the story of the accused persons are yet to be told in court, as the accused persons are still in custody. So that's why we're asking the question, what happens to the case? And as we know, the special prosecutor initiating investigations some days ago. Why is the AG taking over now? That's why I want to bring in Richard Kojenyako, who's been in court for us, monitoring developments all day. Richard, ever since the case went viral, this is the first time we're getting to hear from the courts actually what may be accounting for how, first of all, the money got missing. Do we have any updates on that, first of all?
There's an advice from the Attorney General office, and so pretty shortly we'll show them or we'll read them the details to you. But we were in court today, you know. The case had not come to the public attention, and so many of us didn't even know how this case even evolved. So it started, the theft case came to the attention of Cecilia Dapaah, the former sanitation minister, and her husband in October.
Right.
And so the case was, we read from the Attorney General's brief that it was reported in June. And so these are details that are emerging. But in court today, the two accused who were supposed to be produced by the police prosecutors were not in court. In fact, the police prosecutors indicated that the policemen who were supposed to bring them in court couldn't do that because they had traveled to the northern region, Tamale to be precise, on a similar mission. So they were pursuing something like that. And so that's why they couldn't produce the two accused. But the police also announced in court that they had also apprehended two other persons. In fact, they have charged them. And so now we know of two accused persons that are currently and will be brought in court on the 8th of August when the case was adjourned to. Now, they also announced in court that the Attorney General had indicated to them that they are taking over the case. And so that was really what happened. But the lawyer for one of the accused, Augustine Jemfi, indicated that by the police posturing, they were trampling on the rights of the accused because one of them was granted bail the last time they were in court. In fact, she is a lactating mother. And so the inconvenience of breastfeeding the person in the custody of the police, the baby had to be brought to the police station to be fed and then taken back and all of that. But according to the prosecutors, I mean, they did not meet the bail condition, and that is why the two accused persons are still in court. But he feels that it is in contravention of the 1992 Constitution because the personal liberties of these people have been curtailed.
Okay, before we get into the reasons for which the AG may be taking over this case, you've been engaging some people in court today.
Yes, so that's the lawyer for one of the accused, and he indicated that, well, so that's trampling on the right or the liberties of the people because they feel that even if they had even murdered some people, they have the right, and every case is bailable, and so they do not understand why the accused person, especially the lactating mother, should be treated in that manner.
Supposed to bring all the accused persons to court, but they were not in court. And prosecution gave an excuse that the investigators involved in the matter traveled to Tamale in furtherance of their investigation in Tamale. So they couldn't return to bring them to court. And we, the defense lawyers, tried to push the court to grant them bail whilst the investigation continues. Because we know for criminal cases, the investigation can go on forever and ever. Sometimes, even after sentencing and people have been punished, new evidences come out. So investigation in criminal cases doesn't just end. But my Lord, in her wisdom, decided to remand them till the 8th of August. So God willing, 8th of August, we'll all be in court to push for bail. For they are entitled to bail. Now, the popular case of Pebu and others, every offense is bailable. However, it depends on the discretion of the judge, and the judge has exercised her discretion not to grant the bail today. So there's nothing we can do. We have to wait for the 2nd August and come back to court. The last adjourned date, A2, was granted bail in the sum of 1 million Ghana cedis, 2 sureties, to produce to produce their Ghana cards. In fact, normally when bail is granted at the court, the practice directive is that it is the registrar of the court who interprets the bail condition. The only role of the police is to look at the house or the abode of the sureties. But this one, when we went to the police station, the Special Intelligence Unit, they themselves have taken it upon themselves to investigate and interpreting the court order, which to me is wrong and just obstructing justice delivery system, because police are not supposed to interpret the court orders. It is the duty of the registrar of the court. So it was incumbent upon the CID in this matter to bring the accused person to the registrar, for the registrar to pick the docket that the judge entered the bill and interpret and see if their sureties qualified to stand as what? Sureties for them. But they took it upon themselves. And you know, our assistant police were saying all sort of funny things. I can't mention them here. The prosecutor informed the court that AG is preparing to take over the matter. And in my personal opinion, I feel if the AG is desirous and respects the judicial processes, they should have come to court today to tell the court that we want to take up the matter. However, certain so are not in place. Therefore, we need 1 or 2 weeks to be able to take up the matter. You don't sit in your office and you instruct a police prosecutor to tell the court that you want to take. No, some of this, we see it as some of these gimmicks to deny people of the justice that they need. You know, this matter, there are so many strengths here and there, and we know it is one of those tactics employed to keep the people in cells. Please, I tell you, my client has not stolen any money from anywhere. Nobody has that kind of amount in her wardrobe. But since we came every day, they said they've made some arrests. Every day they are arresting. So is that the effort to try the case? If you are making effort to try the case, appear in court. You don't come and tell court, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing that. No, come to court for us to know what the steps that you're taking that warrant the court to grant you further time or date for preparation. If you don't come to court, you sit in your office and say, I need 1 week, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. Is that how things should be done in the system? No.
Thank you.
We believe the people are being kept for no apparent reason.
Also, that's the lawyer, I believe, for the accused.
One of the accused.
One of the accused, and we need to be very clear about that. But before we delve into the details as to some of the items that they're confessing to that may have been missing now, let's look at the aspect about the Attorney General and what we know about the reasons for which the AG is deciding now to take over this case, which investigations were initiated by the Office of the Special Prosecutor.
Well, so when we went to court, the prosecutors indicated that, in fact, they have investigated the case up to a certain point, but they received some notice from the Attorney General's office that they have now taken over the case. In fact, you heard the point the lawyer made earlier, that they expected the Attorney General to be in court today to announce that they have fully taken over the case, and so he had issues with that one. But let's look at the advice the AG, because
that's very crucial. Understanding why the Attorney General is taking the decision they're taking now. Yes. Probably we share excerpts of what's coming through from the AG's office on that. Yes. But what reasons are we getting, really?
Well, so Cecilia Dapaah, as stated in her initial complaint to the police on the 1st of July 2023, that $800,000 belonging to her deceased brother and 300,000 Ghana cedis of contribution towards her mother's funeral contained in a box and a bag respectively were stolen. And this is confirmed by Henry Osei Kwabena, who told the police on 4th July 2023 that he brought the box of money to her sister for safekeeping. Wow. Notwithstanding the confirmation by Cecilia Dapaah's brother, it is important for the police to conduct independent investigations into these assertions to ascertain the true ownership of the amount of $800,000, the sources or the source from which the established owner of the amount of $800,000 acquired the money. So, the next point is whether the accused actually stole the full amount of $800,000 from the house of the complainant.
Okay, so that's critical because over the period we've been hearing allegations and unconfirmed reports, people sharing their own accounts of why the money may have been stolen and who the money may have belonged to. The minister is giving us a sense now that 800,000 first tranche belonging to her deceased brother. That's the official account we're getting.
And now to her for
an additional $300,000
from Ghana cedis from funeral contributions.
Interesting. We'll get into the details. Let me also invite into this whole conversation lawyer Martin Peeble, who's been with us. Hello, Counsel. Thanks for spending some time with us here on the Pulse. You've seen the position of the Attorney General on this, the fact that they will be taking over the case. We'll be going into other aspects. My colleague Richard Kojunyako also here with us. And if you're out there, you want to be a part of the conversation, the numbers will be on the screen for you to also share your views. But, Counsel, the decision, first of all, by the AG to take over the case, even as the OSP continues with its investigations. How are you receiving that?
Yes, blessed. And I like your look at the FO coffee, right? Let's make it easier there. Okay, yes, FO coffee. Yes, let's straighten something here. My understanding is that the AG is only taking over the stealing aspect. In other words, the AG is taking over all the offenses, save those that are corruption and corruption related. Let's go over in another sense. Mm-hmm. So the OSP is currently dealing with the corruption and corruption-related offenses. Mm-hmm. And that is what the OSP Act 959, gives the OSP the mandate to deal with. So any other offense, so something like stealing, on the face of it, doesn't belong to the OSP. Mm-hmm. It's for the Attorney General. So that is where the Attorney General comes in. So it cannot be the case that the Attorney General is taking over everything. No, the OSP will not even allow it. So this is what we'll have, that the AG will deal with stealing and any other offenses, and then the OSP will deal with the corruption and corruption-related offenses, and especially, you see the lifestyle audit, which is already yielding good results. So that, let's note that the OSP investigation has two layers. There's a criminal one, and then apart from that, the corruption and corruption-related. So that, or let's say apart from that, the OSP is also doing a lifestyle audit. Yeah. So under that one, even if we don't find any crime, and it turns out that Madame Dapaah has property that she cannot account for, then those will be confiscated. And so that is the low-hanging fruit we should be very excited about as citizens. But let's give it further.
I see. But then the implication of getting a conviction of these two young girls who are at the center of this whole controversy, if they get convicted, that may prove perhaps the innocence of the minister? Because officially she's stating the source of the monies that were allegedly taken or stolen from her residence.
I don't think that it necessarily follows that in the event that the persons on the stealing offenses, the stealing charge, that's the case before court, are convicted, then it follows that Madame Dapaah is free. No, there are two different sets of offenses and investigations. As I've said, the stealing is one thing. It's not within the purview of the OSP. Soon we will be coming to that to ask for amendments so that in the event that the OSP is saddled with such an investigation, it should be given the chance automatically to expand the investigation. Currently, he has to seek the consent of the Attorney General, or the Attorney General has to agree. And that's very tacky and untidy. But we'll push that on another day. So let's concentrate on this. You see, as I've mentioned, the OSP, the lifestyle audit, is anchored on Article 286 Clause 4, which says that if a public officer is found with any property and the property cannot be justified, that is to say, if that public officer cannot attribute that property to inheritance, income, loan, okay, then it means that that property has been unlawfully acquired, so unexplained wealth and illicit wealth. So in this case, though Madame Dapaah's case is that the $800,000 belongs to a deceased brother, that's not the end of the matter. Okay?
I say, yeah.
Once investigations are gone into, so this is what will happen. Retrieved from the other case, okay? once it is proven that those properties don't belong to Patience Butchie, Mr. Butchie, that Malik Dada, etc., then it means that yes, those properties are the ones Madame Dapaah is talking about. And I'm saying that Madame Dapaah will not automatically get those properties if she cannot explain how those properties came about.
I get that, but what's the position of the law really on the liability on the person who's receiving, say, a donation or maybe a gift, or you're holding that in trust for someone, an amount close to $800,000 US, for instance, at home?
Good. So ordinarily, if you're looking at pure law, what the law says is that if somebody gives you a colossal sum of money, and in your own estimation, you think that is beyond the person's means, yes, there's a duty to report, except that we don't apply that law. It's in the Act 29. If you see a crime, you are supposed to report, and failure to report itself is a crime. But, because they are relations, and as I've said, we don't often use that provision. So now that this is come, maybe you can hammer it more and more, that citizens should know that, look, if it's clear to you that somebody's brought you huge sums of money or left you in the care of property that you yourself, you can see that the person cannot own, you have a duty to report. If you don't report yourself, it's a crime if it's subsequently found. So that's theoretically. But on the facts of this case, I don't think we have enough facts to be able to indict Madame Dapaah, except I've seen on the internet people who have said that deceased brother, they have said that it's a shoemaker, that's neighbors, something that's going around on the internet and it's published on Ghana web. So it's for citizens.
Okay. Counsel, let's just try one more time. We lost you briefly on the point you're making. If you just take that for us again. You were talking about the video or the flyers in circulation.
And make our own conclusions. People have said that, no, the person they are talking about will...
We'll try and re-establish connections. Counsel, are you still with us? We lost you briefly.
As I said, I'm not in a position to verify that, but I can bring that to you. The brother is dead. If the brother is found, as I said, confiscation will be the way to go.
Okay, we lost you briefly, but then going forward, it appears that we lost Lawyer Martin People there, who was just giving us a sense of what's going on.
One question comes to mind, and the incident happened in October, according to the Attorney General's advice, and then the docket on it. So, but the first arrest and the complaint was done in June. So between October and June 27, when the first arrest was effected, and then the subsequent arrests were also done, what really happened within that space? And so that's what the question many people are asking, that the first accused, who is the 18-year-old, was employed to clean the compound of the former Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources. And then the second accused, also an employee of the minister, was also in the household. And so she had access to the bedroom of the former minister. And so the two of them, according to the first accused, two sets of the keys were given to her to duplicate. Yeah. And so she was caught in the process. But we had the lawyer saying that, well, the client had stolen nothing. But according to the police, that is based on the Attorney General's advice, that they arrested the first accused in Tamale, where he has spent some of the money, including buying a house, including renting a store, giving some of the money to the boyfriend, the father, and all of that. And so these are some of the details that are contained in the docket the Attorney General has shared.
The point about, even the case itself, the fact that we've been shifting the narrative mostly onto the political appointee, former now, Cecilia Dapaah. How about the two individuals involved here?
We are doing the right thing. You see, the two individuals we have scarce resources. So we can see that the bigger problem is the source of that huge sum of money. So it tells you the way citizens are very smart. Yes, it tells you that we see that there's a bigger problem, such a colossal sum of money. Money that, by some accounts, can build 14 schools, etc., right?
Yeah.
So we are interested in finding out where that money came from, so that if there is
we're having some challenges here today. But yeah, well, point well made. When next are we in court, and what are we to expect?
So the 8th of August, we are expected to be in court. But there is also some conflicting. Initially, we had 5 persons, the 2 accused that are currently standing trial, and then 2, the boyfriend, the ex-boyfriend, and 1 other person, so making 5. So the police announcing that 2 more persons have been arrested. Does it mean that we have 5 of the people that are currently standing trial in this particular matter? And then I would want the lawyer Martin Pebu, when he comes around, about the issue of human rights. The lawyer for one of the accused raised, Augustine Jemfi, raised that, one of them was a lactating mother, and so it does not augur well for the health and the psyche of the mother, and then the baby that is being breastfed while the mother is in police custody. And so these are issues that are also arising.
For our viewers, let's just give them a recap of some of the items that were allegedly stolen from Cecilia Dapaah's residence.
So we have a cash of $1 million. We have another cash of 300,000 euros. We also have cash of 350,000 Ghana cedis. And so, and then we have 6 pieces of assorted kente valued at 90,000 Ghana cedis. We have 6 sets of men's suits valued at $3,000. We have assorted clothes valued at 95,000 Ghana cedis. We have assorted handbags valued at $35,000 US. And so these are some of the things that we are talking about. And then the last 2 items that were left out were assorted perfumes worth $1,400 and assorted jewelries valued at $95,000. And so these are the items that we are talking about. So some of the items include, so we have cash and other things that have also been cost.
Okay. Lawyer Kwebu is back with us. And Counsel, we'll ask you briefly the point about the accused now. Look at the items allegedly stolen. If that's found to be true, what are the implications for these young girls?
Okay, good. It's good if you ask this question. Number 1, please, can we do something about the first accused, Patience Butri? You can see from the facts, we are told that at the time they are...
He seems to have very poor connection today. Yeah, okay, let's see.
So under the law, when a person in conflict to the law is under 18, that person is called a juvenile. And the justice system has a special regime, has special provision for such. We are supposed to protect the privacy of the child.
Okay. The issue of our privacy. Did that come up in court?
No, it didn't come out. So we are also conflicted as to whether she clocked 18 at the time the crime was committed or at the time of the arrest. That was June 27 when she was arrested. So, but it is 18 the police prosecutors maintain.
So that's the official age?
Exactly, 18.
But then at the time the crime was committed,
we do not know whether they stated the 18 years at the time the crime was committed or currently she is 18. But they are treating the person not as a juvenile. So it means that the person is not under 18, where she will be qualified, or she will qualify to be called a juvenile. But now she's 18, and the police, they are treating the person as if the person is a fully grown or fully fledged adult.
But we didn't see them in court today.
Yeah, so the prosecutors failed to produce them in court. They said that they were in pursuit of some other things in the northern region as a result of the same case, and so they couldn't produce these two accused persons in court.
When next are we expecting them?
So the 8th of August, so we are expecting that per the announcement that was done in court by the prosecutors, the Attorney General will come, and then because the police prosecutors are pursuing the stealing aspect of this money, they would be following, or they will be prosecuting the stealing aspect. We have been told by lawyer Martin Pegu that there is another strand, and that is what the special prosecutor is also pursuing. And so we are hoping that the AG will be in court on the 8th to prosecute. And we are not expecting that it is only the two people or the two persons that will be standing trial, but the announcement by the police prosecutors that they have apprehended and indeed gone ahead to charge them, we also see such persons also in court.
Any sign of Abena Dapaah or any assigns, any relatives in court today?
Well, so when I was in court, I was giraffing, I was craning my neck to see whether she or the husband or any other members of the family would be in court, but surprisingly, none of them was in court today.
I see. Well, Richard, we'll keep monitoring the space and bring our listeners up to speed with what's happening. And there are questions even as to why she decided to resign, if indeed she's the one making the claims as we speak.
Yeah. So, she gave the reasons. She gave the reasons why she resigned. She indicated that she didn't want to bring the government along with this case so she's resigning to fight this case in court. And so that is why she resigned.
Okay, Richard, thank you. And thanks for staying with us here on The Pulse. When we get back, we'll bring you some more stories, plus some of your reactions to the stories that we've brought to you so far. We're also paying attention to that meeting happening in Abuja as we speak. The chiefs of military of all the West African states meeting today over a possible deployment of soldiers into neighboring, Niger, following the coup d'etat that transpired there. What will be the implication? Plus the Ghanaian community raising concerns there. We'll bring you reactions shortly. Please stay.
It's the Premier League, all on DSTV. All the goals, clashes, and moments. All of Rashford, Salah, and Saka.
Their start is getting better and better.
All in the language of your choice. All in HD. Available on all these bouquets to choose from. To watch on all these devices. Get DSTV with an HD decoder plus 1 month compact for 299 CDs. It's the Premier League, all on DSTV.
Daddy, this tank is big.
Yes, that's true.
It can store a lot of water.
That's so true.
Wow, it has a working tortoise on it.
That's so true.
I can see S-I-N-T-E-X. Syntax.
That is so true, my daughter.
When it falls down, it will spoil.
That's not true.
But why?
Hey! Syntex was the first to introduce double-layer tanks in Ghana. Syntex again was the first to introduce white inner layers in Ghana. Syntex gives you the biggest warranty, 7 years. No matter your water needs, Syntex is the answer. Syntex tank. Are you strong? Are you tough?
and their wide variety of items is amazing.
Interesting things at Homeland this month.
Yes.
Foot warmers, ice chests, insulated jugs, ice cube trays, ceramic servants. Wait, is that all? Cupset, vacuum flask, oil jar, sauce jar, ladles, rainbow.
Yes, that is Homeland for you.
This and many more. Everything you need in the kitchen. Homeland got it at quality and affordable prices.
Yes.
There you have all the toys for you kids.
Toys Land.
Awesome.
Promotions, sales, massive discounts, freebies. What more can you ask for? Call Homeland now on 059-381-1451.
Shop your way at Homeland at Accra Central, Tamale, Spintex, Kumasi. It's a big bazaar, big sale this whole month at Homeland Ring Road branch. Get interactive on all social media platforms at Homeland Store GH. Happy kitchen, happy home.
The second clinic of the 2023 edition of the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair promises to excite patrons in many ways. The West Hills Mall will host all relevant players in the housing and construction industry in Ghana from Friday 4th to Sunday 6th August 2023 from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. This year's exhibition is under the theme Home Ownership, Affordability, Comfort or Luxury. Visit the clinic and engage the providers in the housing value chain on all your housing needs, be it financing, land acquisition, rent to own, outright purchase, roofing, lighting, electronic appliances, home security, or home furnishing. The EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair is your one-stop shop for everything housing. To register as an exhibitor, please call 0244-260-653. There will be daily giveaways by the sponsors to visitors at the fair. The EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair is in partnership with EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank, and powered by the Planned City Extension Project from Cities and Habitats. Rent to own and sponsored by Elegant Homes and General Construction Limited, where quality meets value. Syntex tanks, a strong, a tough. EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair. Affordability, comfort, or luxury.
Well, the Anti-Corruption Coalition here in Ghana is also wading into the Cecilia Dapaah case that we just brought to you. Joining us now is Adam Senan, who is co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption and Anti-Corruption advocate as well, monitoring the case as it develops in court. First of all, there is the criminal aspect, but the Anti-Corruption Coalition says that government needs to do more to take up the issues of anti-corruption and to tighten measures to forestall the recurrence of such cases amongst the political class, especially the executive. Thank you, Adam Senan, for spending some time with us here on The Pulse. Your take, first of all, on the entire approach, first of all, by the anti-corruption institutions and what it is that government itself has done since this case broke.
Well, I think that the SPO taking up this within 72 hours, for me, was a very strong response and timely. Of the institutions and the mandates that we have, of the view that their mandate under Act 959 provides them the fastest route because you don't have to file a complaint, and they do have a section, a clause on politically exposed persons and investigating them in relation to potential corruption. So I thought that was good. I was hopeful that the government led by the presidency would up their game and make some comment indicating their support for the work of the OSP and also indicating that they look forward to the report and would act, in accordance with the findings. That hasn't happened. The response from the president to the minister in terms of the letter she wrote tendering in her resignation, I think was problematic to the extent that our president indicated that he was confident that she would be cleared in quotes. That's a part of our history I was hoping we do not go back to. Unfortunately, I don't think that the script writers, the message writers for the president are paying attention to the fact that he's supposed to be neutral and supporting good governance across board. So those would be my initial comments on what has transpired so far.
Yeah, I mean, what's the big deal if the president says, well, I believe in your integrity? It's the president's opinion. It remains at that, right?
No. There's a conflict of interest. There's a conflict of interest to the extent that the president has a certain role to play within this matter. What's that role? The role is that a member of a government has been fingered, so to speak, of a potential crime. What you ought to do is to remain neutral and not seem to be playing judge in a court where you have other public officers who are supposed to now do an assessment. Because what it does is that you may be bringing some influence to bear on these other public officers who are supposed to do the investigation. So that's the thinking. So yes, the OSP is an independent body, but virtually the special prosecutor himself is nominated by the president, approved by Parliament. But one doesn't want to get a sense that any kind of influence or is being brought to bear on that office.
And looking at the level of work done by the OSP, are you satisfied or you expect some more?
Well, it's early days yet. The OSP has been upfront to tell us what they are doing when they did the searches and so on and so forth. And then they've come back to say, look, be patient with us. We need to go through the mill. Mindful of the law, their law requires them to report to the citizenry every 6 months. I think that they have done well not to wait till 6 months before giving us updates and raising concerns where important. I am expecting that maximum within 2 months, and we've already had 2 weeks of this, they should be able to give us some kind of finality as to what their findings have been.
And your expectation from Cecilia Dapaah in the coming days?
Well, I don't have an expectation. I mean, it's either that she's cleared or she's not cleared. But to be honest with you, I find it very curious that a public officer who works for the state from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., at least 5 days of the week, can have that kind of money sitting around. I'm intrigued. Let me put it that way, so that I'm also neutral and I'm not doing any clearing or fingering of people at the moment.
Yeah, I see. And Mr. thank you for spending some time with us.
And thank you for having me.
Well, some of you have been sending your messages on a number of issues, even bothering you in your own communities. This one says, good day, Blessed. I'm very disappointed in the New Patriotic Party administration. You pulled down a whole hospital within the La community without building a new one yet. Then you go ahead to say that, but the government goes ahead to cut sort for a housing project that will only benefit them and their family. Very sad for this country. That's coming through from Nana. Listening to us somewhere around Belenque. This one says, good afternoon. Please, the president of Ghana appointed Cecilia Dapaah as minister and has already made a prejudicial comment. Your integrity will be established, as he says. So we don't expect any court in Ghana to go into this anti-money laundering issue of the minister and judge her for wrongdoing. Blessed, are you surprised that the Attorney General has taken over the TEF case now? That's the question you are asking. Many of you are also sending your comments to us. Keep them coming through, and we'll take them as we move on with the show. Let's get to some other stories that we have for you, because government has failed 5 out of 9 macroeconomic targets outlined for the 2022 fiscal year. Now, according to the Joint News assessment that we've done, an analysis of some 9 key economic indicators outlined in the 2022 budget shows government could not meet most of its macroeconomic targets. Johnny's data analyst Kofi Ajay is joining us with more. Many may say this is technical, but let's try and make it as simple so a lot of people can follow us on what we're talking about.
In fact, to make it simple, that's why we actually developed this scorecard. So when we spoke, I think 2 days ago, I told you that the mid-year budget is an opportunity for the finance minister to give a complete account of what happened in 2022.
Yeah.
So based on the the target that is set for them, we looked at 9 of the target that we feel are very, very important. And we use government's target versus what government was able to do. And then we strike the average, and we came out with this scorecard based on, we are assuming, there's an assumption here, we are assuming that government is more or less like a student taking the, WASI examination, writing 9 subjects, which the subjects are the target that they set for themselves in 2020. So let's look at it. Let's look at the first, just like you have been WASI, there are core subjects and elective subjects. Yes. So in these targets, we believe, the research deck believe that government, some of these targets are very core. For instance, inflation is core because when you fail on your inflation target, it's going to affect everything in your economy.
Okay, and I see F9 there. Here's what we need to do. Let's give the basis for which we're saying, okay, this is classified F9, this is classified maybe a B3, A+, and I'm just going back to the WASI days, I guess.
Exactly. So definitely, if you tell us that you are going to end December with an inflation rate of 8%, and you ended December rather with an inflation of 54.2 or 4%, that's definitely a deviation from your target. So we decided to score the government.
A deviation of over 100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
More than
so you are way over.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
You said you were going to earn, gross international reserve. It should not be, less than 4 months. Yeah. You were able to get 2.7 months. We said that's cool. Then that gives us, a B3, which is more or less good in terms of the interpretation of this. Overall, real GDP growth rates, your target was, to grow the economy at, I think, 3.9. You grew it at 3.1. Yeah. So we decided to give you 53, which is a C+. And also, spend within your budget. You wanted to spend a certain amount of money. You wanted to spend close to 133 billion Ghana cedis. At the end of the year, you ended up spending more than 160 billion. So
in fact, for me, this is the most staggering because the government tells us that we're in an economic crisis. We need to tighten our belts. Many people are taking haircuts.
Yeah.
And they are spending more.
This is what happens, especially when you've borrowed and then it's time for you to pay. You end up spending so much on interest payments and even payment that you are making to workers. And some of the other
areas
that we looked at, about 4, if you can continue. We looked at non-oil real GDP. There's another one, 2, primary balance, another one, overall budget balance, and then also there's a deficit as well, and there's, I think, the aggregate. So we are saying, can you give us the aggregate? Government scored A1. Let's be fair. Government scored A1 in terms of revenue.
The revenue goals. Okay, and we need to explain that. So they are raising as much as they are spending.
Well, they are raising so much, but they are spending so much. So if you want to keep within the deficits, like if you want to have that small balance budget deficit, you need to raise more, but also control your expenditure. Yeah. But if you are raising more, but you are spending too much, mind you are going to incur.
Yeah, overall aggregate 31 for government.
So we believe that if governments were to be a student writing the WASI exams, then the aggregate is 31.
Okay.
And this, I don't think you qualify to...
You didn't get into the university with aggregate 31.
Not at all. Aggregate 31, I think Fredo will have to explain it. You get to the university with aggregate 31.
No, maybe magic can happen,
I believe so.
Magic.
Well, there's actually a chance for government to do a reset. The reset is the budget review. So the 2022 budget, they reviewed all of these, and they still scored 5 F9s. And that was still
it's interesting how we're assessing government right now. Like we feel like examinators right now, just marking governments down, F9, just about 3 or 4. No, that's like 6 or 5 of them.
5 F9s out of 9 targets.
Okay.
And we have to give them credit for scoring A1 in revenue,
Yeah, so basically you raise more, you spend more. I guess that's what they're doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So there you have it, seeing it for yourself on the screens. Isaac Ofieje joining us from the research desk. Thank you. Let's focus now on some of the developments within the West Africa sub-region, because the Ghanaian community in Niger are indicating to Joy News that they feel threatened over some reprisal attacks if West Africa regional body ECOWAS decides to go ahead to deploy a military force into the French-speaking country. That's because that's what they've been told within Niger. Now, presidential guards, as we understand last week, deposed the democratically elected Mohamed Bazoum, who was then president, now deposed, and that's prompting wide condemnation from West African leaders who have issued a week's ultimatum to the military junta to hand over power, or they'll be deploying a military force to restore order from now until the 4th of August. The ECOWAS chiefs of defense staff, they are meeting and holding an extraordinary meeting on the political situation in the Republic of Niger. And the president of the Ghanaian community has been indicating to us that many of them have been told by the Ghanaian High Commission there that although they can go about their daily activities, they would have to be warned of a possible reprisal if things do not go well. And ECOWAS, as we understand, may have to deploy a team there. They have also been warned by some residents that if the ECOWAS team goes ahead, they may face reprisals. But a security analyst and a consultant to the African Union, Colonel Festus Abonji, retired, is not enthused about the decision of the use of force to restore constitutional order in Niger. He's been questioning why the heads of state over the weekend decided at the ECOWAS summit to go ahead with the deployment without consulting their military chiefs.
Niger, like Burkina Faso, like Mali, have since about 2012 been under the scourge of terrorism. And the risk is that if we're not very careful and we unhinge stability in Niger, it will have repercussions for regional security. The effort that the G5 Sahel countries, which includes Niger and Burkina Faso and Mali, have pulled together to try and stem the tide of jihadist threat of terrorism will come under strain. Already we know that our Western partners, for geopolitical reasons, have left Mali and have left Burkina Faso and are now in Niger. Well, they could have issued that statement strictly as a strategy to intimidate the coup leaders in Niger. The threat of the use of force is a strategy. Now, beyond that, you need now to calculate whether ECOWAS has the capabilities to actually project force into Niger. And this is where I started my statement by wondering whether the respective chiefs of security forces in the 15 or so, of course, let's take out Mali, Burkina Faso, Guinea, and Niger. We may be left with about 11 or 12. Whether these 12 countries have consulted their chiefs of the defense staff.
Right. Before even taking the major decision.
Yes, that has to be the case. In all democracies, unless you are an autocrat or we are in an autocracy, you need to find out from your military. First of all, you intimate them with the political strategic objectives that you have. Then you ask them to give you an appraisal of whether indeed they can carry out that kind of, they can achieve that objective and how they may be able to do it and what they may require. Now, I have my doubts because in 1990 when we went to Liberia, remember almost every country in West Africa was under a military rule. There were no parliaments, there were no legislatures.
Right.
So it was a matter of decreeing that Nigerian forces, Ghana forces, or Ghanaian forces, and so on, were going to Liberia. And so I would like us to go back to 2011. In 2011, in two countries in Africa, first in, let's say, February, March, in Libya, France, as part of NATO, spearheaded the demise of Gaddafi. The rest of the implications and the consequences is what we are seeing now. Then back in Côte d'Ivoire, close by, purely to get rid of Gbagbo, who had anti-French sentiments and so on. You know, France actually was the actor that arrested Gbagbo, not the Ivorian forces. And what is the commonality or the lowest common denominator among these three countries, Libya, Cote d'Ivoire, and Niger? In Cote d'Ivoire and Libya, it's about oil, or it was about oil. In Niger, it is about uranium. They are all within the broad category of natural resources that France needs to lay its hands on. Otherwise, why would France not have acted or issued the kind of threats that it is issuing now against Niger, against Mali, against Guinea, against Burkina Faso? Why against Niger? And that is the worry that I have, that ECOWAS must be careful that it doesn't play into the hands of Western interests. Look, the situation in Niger is a political crisis. It is a constitutional crisis. It is very different, as I said, from Liberia, which was an invasion led by Charles Taylor's NPFL. The two are not the same. And I cannot see how anybody would deploy a force unless America go into Grenada. You don't deploy a force to go and reinstate so-called democratically elected government. When in the instances that we have, or we have had in this continent and in this sub-region, the unconstitutionalism have actually started with civilian leaders. That is the narrative in Cote d'Ivoire, and we turn a blind eye to that. That was the narrative in Togo 2015. We turned a blind eye to that. A few weeks ago, we knew what was about to happen in Senegal. ECOWAS never saber rattled until probably through other back channels, they got President Macky Sall to rescind or retract. If ECOWAS indeed wants stability in this sub-region, it must first ensure that there is democratic accountability. Then there will be no reason or raison d'etre for any man in uniform to go and overthrow a democratically elected government. Let me make this point, and maybe I'll give the floor to Professor.
Yes.
Now, when we say we are deploying a force, and we know that besides the natural resources, which is a commonality among these three, the four former French territories, which have now succumbed to coups, are, with the exception of Guinea, three of them are under the threat of jihad terrorism. No African or West African country thought it wise to follow the example of Rwanda and deploy its own national forces to go and assist these countries to combat terrorism. So when they come under pressure and the military takes over, because by and large the military are the ones who are the front line, they are the ones who die. If there is corruption and ammunition doesn't reach them, and you can't rule out corruption in Niger.
Colonel retired Festus Aboagye speaking to me last night on Connect Africa. As we speak, the Chief of Defense Staff for West African countries are meeting in Abuja. That's been confirmed by ECOWAS a couple of hours ago. We can just bring you excerpts of what it is that ECOWAS has posted on Facebook, indicating that the Economic Community of West African States, the Committee of Chiefs of Defense Staff, are holding an extraordinary meeting on the political situation in the Republic of Niger. The Committee of Chiefs of Defense Staff, that's CCDS of the Economic Community of West African States, will meet in Abuja. That's happening from today to the 4th of August 2023 on the political situation in the French-speaking country. The CCDS is meeting following the decision by the authority of ECOWAS heads of states and government at the extraordinary session held on the 30th of July in Abuja. That was last Sunday, and part of the decision clearly was that there will be a deployment of the military force into Niger within a week if the military junta there does not hand over power to the elected president, Mohamed Bazoum. Is this feasible? Dr. Ladislav Prosper Agbesi is president of the Pan-African Business Forum. He is joining us in studio to have a conversation on this. It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
This is not a good time for West Africa. Many have argued, looking at the growing nature of political instability and the nature where we see the military gradually taking over center stage in terms of governance across West Africa. What's your own diagnosis of the problem? Many say it's simply an anti-French sentiment that's on the rise. Do you share the same view?
I think let us go back to the contents, and I would like to, if you allow me, to bring in some kind of few elements.
Right.
What is happening at the moment? Last year, I wrote to President Biden. I have a discussion with his administration, and I did mention to him that the so-called democratically elected governments are becoming worse than military regimes. And he should organize some kind of, I wrote to him, I said he must organize some kind of a summit with all those military people in Washington where they will have a discussion. And he have to listen to them and exactly understand what is happening. Because the context of West Africa today, what is happening, is in three forms. The first one is the civilians becoming worse than the government. The civilians are the democratic elected governments have become problem to their own people. That's a very difficult issue. And the functionality of the army is to restore law and order.
Yeah.
And that is what they have been doing so far. That's what is happening. There's nothing else. It's not like 1960 before where people just make coup. In each country, all the countries we saw in Guinea, in Mali,
Yes.
and the military people came in to restore law and order.
But is that really the alternative? The fact that we know that it's a democracy. Wait until the next election season. Why are the military chiefs being impatient in these countries?
You see, the problem is that when you are that's why we have police stations.
Yeah.
Police station is to regulate the civilians. And the army's job is to regulate peace and order in a country. Sometimes coup d'etat are justifiable. They are necessary sometimes. It's like when you have diabetic and you don't threaten it, you cut your leg. Sometimes some of the coup are justified. You know, the issue of, to go back to the real context of where we are, if you look at Niger, there are three problems there. The first problem was that the election was not accepted by the majority of Niger people. The second issue is that there is the issue of Bazoum not being from Niger. He's from Libya.
That's the claim.
That's a claim. That's a claim.
Yes.
We are not saying that,
Yes,
but
right.
it is a claim. Is there? The third one is the fight with the jihadis, which is a real problem for these people. You see, when ECOWAS, through some of these, there's these civilians, the head of state in West Africa today, apart from we have Ghana, Nigeria to some extent, some of them are not legitimate. You understand? Because they use the ground of democracy to make their countries unconstitutional. And you look at even Benin, the president there is not today. He created his own parliament. He did election where he put everybody in jail. Why do you think that army will keep them? He's the next. They will remove him soon.
Well, that's your claim. You are Benin. So you have privileged advantage of what's happening there.
But in the context of Niger, we need to be careful to tell the ECOWAS people to be very careful. Because attacking the military people, because they are responding to the will of the people of their country.
Right.
And there's a sentiment of the French people. Now, if they are going there, they are going to defend the interests of Europeans. So the fight they are going to do today, if they go and attack the Niger people is going to defend, to protect the interests of the French people. What is the other ECOWAS people are going to gain from this thing? What are they going to do?
So you agree that this is some sort of a rising anti-French sentiment? Is that the case?
No, but
because all the countries, just look at the countries, Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, almost all of them, and the French.
I agree with you to some extent, because sometimes people exaggerate in terms of the French sentiment. But the French people also need to start having a dialogue with the African people. They need to start having a discussion. You cannot have a country where you have uranium, you have a gold, you have a lot of things, and the people are still under poverty. What are you doing for these people? This is a question which, as a Pan-Africanist, we need to have a serious discussions. And people don't look at that. People say, no coup, we are going to attack them. Niger is the second in the UMOA, in our Francophone CFA. Yeah. After Ivory Coast, Niger is the biggest economy.
Really?
In terms of, yes, you must check. They are the biggest economy. And however, they are more poorer in Niger than Benin. You understand? The people are more poorer in Niger than Benin, right. Even more poorer than Togo. But their minerals is feeding many huge economy in the world. How can that country so we need to have a different kind of dialogue with our partners. Yeah. I'm not in a sentiment to say that we cannot live without the Western powers. Right. We have to work with them. But they also need to come to the table and negotiate with us, not to use our own brothers to fight us like what is going to happen in Abuja. And let me tell you something.
Yes, the meeting going on.
The meeting is not going to happen. I'm just informing you.
Really?
Remember I told you here that if we don't go to France to solve the problem of Sudan, nothing will happen.
Yes.
Where are we today? All the discussion, it went. Right. What they are trying to do, we must be worried. Some of us in Ghana, Benin, Togo, we must be worried. Because you must know the belt of Sudan, from Chad, through Libya, Algeria, to Guinea. They are looking for something. And you are going to give them, because even the north of Nigeria is not stable.
Yeah.
How dare you are to go back and go and fight in that place there? We haven't finished with the Libya crisis. And we are still dealing with, and it was the Libya crisis who caused the problem of jihadists. Many arms in the air. Now you are giving opportunity to the other foreign partners to come in with arms in our area.
The impression we're getting is this is solely a West Africa on ECOWAS decision. At least we didn't see the presence of any of the foreign elements when the heads of states were meeting on Sunday.
But if you look at their budget, still some of the West African countries' budget is deficit. Yeah. They don't have enough money for their army. Right. How can they go now today, all of a sudden, they want to fight in Niger? It's a joke. They don't have enough, even they are still borrowing, asking for money to support them to have. Now they want to spend it to go, and who is going to give them the fuel? Because, when you start to go back into a fight, you need to have research. That's what happened in Sudan. Some people, they were tired. Yeah. You can't sustain. It's not more like 20 years ago during a Gaddafi time when they took Gaddafi, Gbagbo. It's not going to be an easy stuff because Mali is well equipped. Mm-hmm. The last 2 weeks, I have intelligence. Yeah. The equipment in Niger today is 3 times the equipment of Benin and Togo together.
Really?
So you cannot wake up. Even Nigerians, I think the Nigerians are more wiser, intelligent. The Senate will not allow such things to happen. Mm. The first thing we need to do and look for a way of a dialogue before any confrontation. Dialogue must be a thing to do. We need to bring a third party, like Saudi or UAE, to come and play the role because credibility.
You don't feel it should be from either the West or the East?
No. When I mention an external partner, it's to come and fit the bill. You understand me?
Okay.
Because we don't have that kind of bill. Nigeria, they have the new president. He's battling. He just stopped the subsidiaries. Yeah. Why? To carve off his deficit. Yeah. Where are you going to get the money to finance again a fight with your military?
Yeah, the statement we've received from the military rulers in Burkina Faso and Mali, right? They've issued a statement warning ECOWAS, for instance. We've not seen that in a long while. Do you feel that it's because of the kind of backing they're getting? At least our president is giving us a clue that the Wagner Group and the Russian influence appears to be giving some strength to this military or dictatorship regimes that
I don't have enough information about Wagner people. But what I know is that what is happening, if ECOWAS ever try to intervene in Niger, there will be external invisible forces which will be part of that war because the cake is big over there.
So it may become war?
Even if they win, imagine that they overtake them. You see, it's what happened after war. How do you manage insurgents? How do you manage the stability of that region? Already we are dealing with Boko Haram.
Yeah.
The instability of Chad has not been solved so far till today. We have the Sahel issue. We have Burkina Faso. Yeah. Why do you want to increase it? You cannot sustain it. You cannot sustain it because it is issue in West Africa. We want peace. We want dialogue. We don't want forces. The one who is talking about forces, sorry to say it, I'm in a wrong position to say it. The president of Benin, I don't know, he has never done anything. He doesn't understand ECOWAS very well. He's talking through his mind. He doesn't understand. Did you hear from Ghana? The president said something like that. Did you see Ghana come openly? Not that because Ghana cannot do anything. They are the second biggest armed forces in the region, but they manage their way of speaking, making statements and everything. It is important as we speak now that there must be a dialogue. They must engage again with these people and convince them. They must find a emissary to send. I mean, Ghana is well accepted in the region.
Yeah.
Niger, everywhere. Ghana is like the country everybody respected. So even Chad is going there, nothing is going to solve. You have to find somebody to have a discussion with them. Because what we are going through today, all these chief of staff who are there, some of them are going to be, in a couple of weeks' time, president in some few countries in Africa.
Oh, really?
Somewhere, yes. Some of them. Because the intelligence in West Africa is not more the issue of the military people. I told President Biden, it is the issue of the democracy, which become a tool of dictatorship of semi-Arab people.
Control and all that. And that's why I want to bring in the conversation around term limits. Our President Akufo-Addo, raised that concern some time ago. I recall when he was chairing ECOWAS, pushing the leaders to institute the 2-term limit within West Africa. He called for a 2-term limit where you go once, you go the second, and then that will be the end of it. But the heads of state did not buy into that. We're going into a series of elections that may be happening, I think, starting from late this year into next year. Senegal is a complete disaster as we speak. A lot happening there. I think Benin is also coming really strongly. So we need to handle this really carefully. The term limit, should we go for that?
The problem with the term limit, you see, what's happening in Niger, for instance. Let me take Niger before I come to Benin.
Okay.
Niger is an extension of Tetem.
Okay.
Bazoum was the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Issoufou.
Right. Yes.
So I'm not there. I'm not in charge of the election. But it was forced for the wing to do the Tetem, and they had change. But it's the same machinery. The country needs a alternative government. To showcase a new governance, new program for them, not the same people. Not the same people. Right. So what we are looking at, you see, in the case of Benin, for instance, the guy put everybody aside. Yes. He didn't allow them. He created his own parties. He put the candidates in prison. So if the military come and remove him, are you going to say that is unconstitutional, what the military did? The candidate, all of them are in prison. There's no issue with them. And the military people who come and said, but it's unconstitutional to remove this guy. I told President Biden that these are the real problem he needs to tackle. Because the real issue is not more the army, it is the civilians. In Sudan, who caused the problem? The Prime Minister was there before. He doesn't want to see the army people. He was doing this on his own. The people got angry. We have confusion. Where are we today? There must be a discussion with these army people.
And you were talking about Benin?
Yeah, I was talking about Benin is a fragile. You know, Benin today, if we look at Benin today, is a dictatorship. It is run by one man. And I don't know, but I just know that ECOWAS is aware that what is wrong if what's happened in Niger happened in Benin? People are going to say, it's unconstitutional. This guy went to the parliamentary, he put his own people. He created the party, he put his own people. Election, he stopped everybody to go to election. Only him alone. And he said he created law He said, if you are a candidate, you need to have 37 members of the parliament to approve you. And you have to put more than $500,000. Is it not dictatorship? Is it not more than army? So if you do something like that, and this is a country where the president is involved in drugs,
but these are your claims. So we don't have the evidence right now.
It's written there, but if you look at...
To prove that.
Okay, let's put that one aside.
Yes.
All the economy in a country is run by one person.
Yes.
That's why he's running up and down to Nigeria, up and down. We cannot see any fight in Niger. We want peace and stability over there. And most importantly, I'm calling upon the President, Nana Addo, to intervene to stop this issue of intervention, because it's not going to be easy.
Why do you feel that our president will be listened to? He was there on Sunday. He had every opportunity to make an objection or a statement. He failed to.
I'll tell you something. You see, President Nana Addo is one of the acclaimed great leader today by excellence in the continent. And you don't come into a meeting where people have agenda and you start stopping them. You let them lead it to a point where you can bring your... Maybe I may be wrong, but I just know that Nana is one of the greatest wise presidents. He cannot just come into...
And throw his weight about.
And throw it weight about, but he's observing. Maybe he may come with his wisdom when the time arrives. Because I think President Nana Addo is of a peace. Stability, not a force.
Okay, but why is the approach changing now for Niger? That's the question, because I recall when Ghana was sharing the ECOWAS, the approach towards Mali and Guinea, for instance, was different. Now we have President Tinubu of Nigeria. But he says, well, it's going to be zero tolerance for coup d'etats in West Africa. And the next minute that's happening, and he says, okay, let's use force to resolve the problem. Is it Tinubu's problem?
But I know Tinubu very well. He's a great man. I think he's been ill-advised. And when you come to power, you don't take those kind of statements. If people come to you, especially your neighboring, throwing their weight around you to say things. I think he's going to learn from this, because this statement of a coup is not going to work. Either he will be busy dealing with Boko Haram. Buhari came, said he was going to fight with Boko Haram. He couldn't deal with it. You understand me? You have a problem of a budget deficit. You need to rebuild the country. You need to focus on it. The issue we are facing now with Niger, why they changed the game? That is where we should ask the question of those chief of army. Who are you defending? What is the question? Who they are defending is mostly the Europeans. Europeans. Interest. Who have the biggest interest over there? Is a uranium. Chinese company.
France.
France. That is the issue. So who are you? Are you defending the people of Niger? Or what is this? What you have to? That is the question we need to ask ourselves. Why they didn't go to the other country to do the same thing? We need to sit down as Africans, because now the Pan-Africanism is growing in our continent. Anybody coming to our continent needs to have a different kind of a discussion with us. We are not going to have a hatred discussion with these people, but we want them to come on the table with us, have a one-on-one discussion, beneficiation from all parties. But you cannot impose your will on us.
Okay, let's look at the business interests that will be affected as we speak. At least I can tell you about the Ghanaian example. The fact that even some produce, local produce, for instance, you take a look at onions, for instance. We're just talking about that on the channel a couple of days ago. That will be affected in terms of supply. That will threaten food security, obviously. Yes. Beyond that, what's the extent of business interest that will be affected as a result of what's happening in Niger?
Okay, there are three things which will happen. I'm hearing, it's not yet confirmed, Niger just opened their borders with 5 countries: Libya, Algeria, Mali, Burkina Faso. They opened their Mauritania. What is going to happen is that you should know that through the port of Ghana, for instance, because of its indirect beneficiation, through the port of Ghana, there's so much exports to Niger, to the other neighboring countries, Chad and other places. So it's going to be a big problem. That is the first thing. And second, you see the uranium is exported, and that is the biggest
export
of Niger for electricity, for other reasons. So if we don't have that one, we are going to have a problem there. Even if it's going to affect the French people, their electricity is going to have a serious problem. The third one is the issue of insecurity. When there's insecurity, you cannot run a proper economy. The market cannot move. The instability in the region. How many trucks are we going to have here for onion, for food, for everything? Then we are going to have shortage because those people supply us in the land side here a lot of a food crop, and we are not going to have that. Who is going to give us supply? Yes. Where are we going to get it from? Already, Burkina Faso is going down. Now we are going to add a Niger to it. We cannot afford that. That's why we are saying that the issue of fight, who is bringing Azum there, is okay, but the problem is not going to be solved.
The Senegalese situation. We may be dealing with one problem in Niger, but then Senegal is also on fire. For now, we don't have internet access, as we're being told, so you cannot get too much information of what's happening there. But that's another crisis waiting to happen. Do we need something else, an intervention from outside the region to at least help? Where lies the influence of the EU and others?
But how many places this ECOWAS is going to go to intervene? They don't have that. They don't have the capacity. They can't do it.
Is it all about money?
But you see a drone and a helicopter.
Yes.
It costs even per hour. It costs money. But who is going to do it? Who is going to? If they destroy 4 for you. I know how each country battle to get fund for their peacekeeping cars, and you go and destroy 10 of them. Where are they going to get the money from? This is, to come back to the issue of Senegal. Yeah. This is a democratically elected president. He's behaving like a military person.
That's quite a harsh word for Macky Sall.
No, Macky Sall is supposed to, but if Macky Sall have opportunity to do dialogue with the people. I'm not in for the people of Senegal to destroy everything on the roadside. I'm moderate, you understand? Right. But you need to have a dialogue. You need to call the leaders of your country, the religious leaders, to sit down. Always, for us, from the Pan-African business perspective, we always want to have, to allow dialogue to prevail before forces. That's what wise people always talk about. You cannot just wake up within a few days. You want to go and attack the people in Niger, which is going to be complete. It's not like Liberia. Right. It's not going to happen. Right. It's impossible. Right. They need to negotiate with them. And I'm sending this message to the President Tinubu that he must, on his own as a country, send a senior people from his country to the people of Niger and listen to them and bring them to talk to him as a father. Because he still have opportunity to make what the ECOWAS is losing. And we have confidence in him that he can lead this ECOWAS for the 1 year coming.
Look, we need to go. Any final words to even our viewers as well? There's so much tension here in the sub-region, I mean.
Yeah, I just want to tell the viewers that our region is going through a very serious difficulties. We shall overcome it. Niger is not the end. Some countries are going to go through the same situation till we find the Federation of African countries, Francophone, together, and then we will deal together with the Europeans. We want to work with them. We want to work with the French people. There's no sentiments against French, but we need to have a win-win situation whereby we can do it. And I believe in ECOWAS. I believe in wise people like President Nana to intervene that we don't have such issue of military action, in Niger.
Dr. Ladislas Agusi, thank you for joining us here on the Joy News channel. And for those of you who are watching us, you have to stay on the Joy News channel, because after that meeting with the ECOWAS military chiefs, we're bringing you an exclusive here on the Joy News channel, where we'll bring you an interaction with the ECOWAS commissioner in charge of the political commission there at ECOWAS. We'll definitely bring you that interaction on Upfront. You want to stay on the Joy News channel as we bring you that interview with Ambassador Fattah after the interaction in Abuja. Keep watching the space, but stay with us here on The Pulse. When we return, we'll also cross over to our partners, DW. But before then, you have that flyer on your screens now. In that interview we're expecting with Ambassador Abdel Fattah Musa. He's the Commissioner of Political Affairs for Peace and Security for the ECOWAS Commission. He's going to be speaking to us on a number of developments in the West Africa sub-region. You want to stay on the Joy News channel for that. When we get back, we'll take you to Germany. Please stay.
Smile, Look lively, okay? Smile, smile. Is the money too small? A bad stomach ruins your day. Don't let it. Take Gastron, your most effective antacid for the relief of symptoms of peptic ulcer, heartburn, gas pain, flatulence, and indigestion.
Hey guys, what are you waiting for? Let's go, let's go.
Mwah. Can you bring down the smile small? Gastron, effective relief from stomach discomfort. Manufactured and distributed by NS Chemist Limited. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Score HD, the new exciting football channel, is now available only on HD Plus and brings you football from around the world. Watch Sadio Mane and Daniel Kuvitre in the top weekly match of the Bundesliga 1 and DFB Cup, Primera Liga, Copa de la Liga Profesional, see Ronaldo in the Saudi Pro League, as well as daily sports news every other hour. Also, get updated on Messi and Mbappe on PSG TV and many more. Feely on HD Plus channel 151. Agronaide HD Plus, the Feely experience.
For crystal clear and thrilling podcasts and live shows, download and listen to us on Apple, Spotify, TuneIn, Google Podcasts, MyJoy Online, Amazon services like Echo, Amazon Music, and Audible, Stitcher, Adom Online, Overcast, and Pandora. Take note of everything. Sign up for the multimedia digital platforms now to stay updated.
The second clinic of the 2023 edition of the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair promises to excite patrons in many ways. The West Hills Mall will host all relevant players in the housing and construction industry in Ghana from Friday 4th to Sunday 6th August 2023 from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. This year's exhibition is under the theme Home Ownership, Affordability, Comfort, or Luxury. Visit the clinic and engage the providers in the housing value chain on all your housing needs, be it financing, land acquisition, rent to own, outright purchase, roofing, lighting, electronic appliances, home security, or home furnishing. The EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair is your one-stop shop for everything housing. To register as an exhibitor, please call 0244 260 653. There will be daily giveaways by the sponsors to visitors at the fair. The EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair is in partnership with EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank, and powered by the Planned City Extension Project from Cities and Habitats. Rent to own, and sponsored by Elegant Homes and General Construction Limited, where quality meets value. Syntex tanks, a strong, a tough. EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair. Affordability, comfort, or luxury.
We've had news file over the weekend, and an interesting part of the conversation focused.
Oh no, we are out of range.
Oh, don't worry, Daddy. I have Alexa in my bag.
Alex, what?
Alexa, open Multimedia Ghana and play Joy FM.
Super Hits Radio. Joy 99.7.
Listen to Joy FM, Hits FM, Love FM, live on your Amazon Echo. Listen to your favorite multimedia radio stations live on your Amazon Echo device by saying, Alexa, open Multimedia Ghana, play Joy FM or Hits FM or Love FM. Or catch up on your favorite podcast by saying, Alexa, play, and then the name of your favorite podcast from Multimedia Ghana. For a list of all podcasts available, say Alexa. Ask Multimedia Ghana to browse programs.
And we are back like we never lost signal.
Alexa, welcome to Multimedia.
The latest figures we're receiving have revealed that a growing number of people in Germany can't afford to buy a proper meal. More than 11% are too poor to eat fully rounded meals, even every 2 days, with meat, fish, or the equivalent vegetarian alternatives, putting in only a rare appearances on their dinner tables. Thomas Farrow with DW, our partners, is joining us. He's a political correspondent with DW. Thomas, let's start off. What are the reasons behind all of these latest situations that we're witnessing in Europe?
We're talking here about nearly 10 million Germans that are affected by this problem. 10 million Germans that cannot afford a fully rounded meal on a regular basis. This is a big topic for a country that is one of the richest in Europe. But the problem here in the country is growing, and it has to do not only with recent problems, with recent issues, but also, according to experts, with issues that go further back. Some of the concrete current reasons have to do with growing inflation, with the effects of the war in Ukraine that have affected Germany considerably, for example, when it comes to growing energy prices. But it also has to do with the coronavirus pandemic, which still has left its mark in many parts of the country. Some of the issues that go beyond that are more structural, have to do obviously with a lot of bureaucracy, with problems that date back a long time. So that's why when experts and when authorities are focusing on how to help citizens, they're focusing on the immediate issue, but also on some of the ones that go beyond that. Now, it's important here to make the caveat that poverty is not the same in each country. It's related to the national income, to national statistics. So it's important to understand that even though Germany is a very rich country, there is also a problem of poverty here compared to the income that most people, or at least many people, receive. So that's why it's important also to understand that even rich countries like Germany do have a problem when it comes to poverty.
Let's talk about what this is saying about inequality, for example, in Germany. What picture are we getting on that?
It's relevant to stress that the German government is led by the Social Democrats, and when the Social Democrats came to power in 2021, they came to power presenting concrete proposals to deal with this issue, to help citizens that are affected. And we're talking here about different parts of German society that are affected in a particular way. Children, for example, or elderly people that seem to be particularly affected when it comes to poverty or not being able to have regular, proper meals. We're also talking about single parents. So all in all, it is a big challenge for the German government, and they have indeed presented several proposals. At the same time, however, they have been bickering within the governing coalition when it comes to some of its major proposals, one of them tackling child poverty. Germans are expecting in the next few weeks, in the next few months, a concrete project coming from German authorities when it comes to dealing with child poverty, because, as I've stressed, coalition partners in the German government have not been able to see eye to eye when it comes to dealing with these issues. All in all, it is a very big topic here in Germany. It affects the image that Germany for a long time has tried to present to the world of being this rich and prosperous country. There is another side to that rich and prosperous country, and it is indeed a very big problem for German authorities.
Thomas Farrow, political correspondent with our partners DW. Thank you for joining us. And now we take you to some other stories because the West Africa Examination Council says it will take punitive sanctions against candidates found to have been registered illegally for the upcoming Basic Education Certificate examination. At a news conference to announce its readiness for the BEC and WASI, WAEC indicated that it has already discovered several of such unlawful registrations and have started investigations.
The Council's attention has been drawn to some parents moving their wards in Basic Stage 6, GHS 1, 2, and 3 in private schools to public schools to register for the examination. This is against both the GES and WAEC regulations. The Council is presently investigating a number of such cases, and the registered candidates will be annulled. Parents are urged not to traumatize their wards by such actions.
Well, and for the first time, WAEC says it will introduce its revised rules for the upcoming examinations.
It's that the revised rules and regulations for dealing with cases of irregularity in the Council's examinations, which took effect in January 2023, will be put to use for the first time during this year's diet of examinations. These rules apply in all the member countries. Some of the revised rules, as mentioned in previous interactions, are destruction of exhibits by candidates, posting of live questions on the internet by candidates and examination officials, refusal to grant timely access to school premises. On the first count, the school shall be warned, and where another report is received on the same school, the school shall be derecognized for 2 years. Misconduct of examination officials at examination centers.
And that's all we have for you in this package of the polls. I am Blessed. So go and log on to myjoyonline.com. We have more stories for you there. Thanks for staying with us.